of a basic first coat with a 4-inch roller and a brush simultaneously. That's something that I learned back when I used to paint houses, doing the applying with the roller, then going on with the brush to do all of these canyon, whatever you call it, those masons that stick up, and then getting that real foggy effect by adding the white as it comes down. Well, it's a real loose technique, and I've done it so far with the usual primary colors, just putting them on the wall and mixing them there. As I advance, I will eventually get to pre-mixing the colors from my primaries. But at the beginning of a job, I just like to feel free and creative and loose and not real restricted by the plan, even though there is one. I just like to always relax as I'm getting into just the beginning of it. Kind of like, you know, people always say it's Monday to make an excuse for underperforming, right? So it's kind of like that, at the beginning of the job, you know, you just take it easy. Don't worry about doing stuff you're going to paint over, because I got to do a second coat anyway. Okay, now I've got you right up here on the wall with me. So this is what we were looking at with the kind of purple cliffs in the sky. I'm going to show you the technique with this 4-inch roller. This is what I was talking about, 4-inch roller. You can get it at most hardware store. I got it at Home Depot. You can get it at Sherwin-Williams. Any paint store will probably have these. I was really disappointed when I went into a paint store and they didn't have one. I won't say which paint store. This is on my list of favorite tools. Not just thought that was really lame that they didn't have my favorite paint tool in there. I'm going to show you the technique of this, okay? So let's look down here. I've got my primary colors, just the usual setup there, red, yellow, blue, white. And let's start by just taking some white. Now, I get asked a lot, you know, don't your colors get all mixed up when you keep dipping in the buckets and this and that? The tool usually has most of the paint distributed on the wall. It's usually soaked out of the roller and onto the wall. By the time I dip it again, it's soaking up more than it's putting back in the bucket. But tiny amounts do get in there. It's not enough to affect it. So look, I just roll it on this. It helps if your bucket of paint is not very full, but if it is, you can do the same thing. I mean, here's a full one right here. If I had this, I'd see this guy. So I'll move that camera. If I had a real full one, then I might just kind of use the very edge of the bucket to, or I might not even dip the whole roller. I might just dip one side of it and just see, I've just got that one side real wet. And then it makes it unevenly weighted. That's kind of tricky when it gets like that, but I just put it like this, vertical, then I flip it over, let it go that way. That keeps it from dripping. Just keep switching direction every few seconds, like that. So after I dip it and get the white paint, I'm gonna go back to this bucket though, because I want to use this one up. Every time you see me go down off of the camera, this is what I'll be doing, is just getting paint on the roller. So I always start like this. I put it, it's at kind of a 45-degree angle, rather than perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical. I got it at a 45-degree angle. But I'm gonna turn it at this angle so that it's smearing it while it turns. See how the roller is both rotating, and let me go the opposite way so you can see the paint it leaves behind. Go like this. Okay, see, so it's wiping the paint on and rotating at the same time. That's really valuable because it doesn't drip when it does that. It has a way of, since it's turning downward, it's catching its own drips. And so then I'll go this way, then I'll go this way, then I'll go this way, this way. And when I start using multiple colors up here, this is how I mix them with the roller. All right, so now, let's say I want to add a little bit of yellow in here. So then I'll go down the exact same thing in the yellow. But this time I didn't roll it across the yellow this time. Look, there's no yellow on it, just on this one spot. I just dabbed it in the bucket. Then I'll take it and I'll put it on here and do that exact same technique. Let me do it this way so you can see better. See how it rolls that yellow around? And then when it gets around the wall, see how I just smear it in there. Just keep going back and forth. So you see I can cover a lot of ground this way. So while I'm doing this, I'll also have a brush handy. Alright, so now let me take this brush and put some white, get some paint on it so I'm not just drying off my wall. This is the bottom of the bucket, so this paint's real tacky. It's been sitting in there for ages. Time to open up a new can. So I've already got the paint distributed, so it's way quicker when I come to blend it now, and that's important when you're working with water-based paint. And you also always want to have a bucket of water handy. I've got that down there behind the camera. When I back it up, you'll see. See, so I can go back and forth, roller, I can distribute it with the roller, I can smooth it with the brush, because the roller leaves a lot of the stipple texture. So now, this is getting real tacky, it's drying up. So it's hard to paint on things when they get to that stage. It's too dry to smear, but it's too wet to go over the top of, because it leaves these ugly pole marks. Then again, it is kind of... And sometimes you drop your brush, right? I'm going to go ahead and not cut that out so that you can see that I drop my brush a lot. Okay. Add some yellow here. See, I'm just using this roller to just mix this. And that is a pretty bright color right there. So what this will be right here is the base of a cloud. But the light's coming all the way through it, lighting it up, you know, 'cause it's a translucent thing. So the top of it, we'll say that, I'm going to smooth it out first with my brush. We'll say that the top side of this cloud is thinning out and exposing some of the open sky above it. Lighten that up, and since we're lightening it, we're going to make it more yellow. As it becomes more and more filtered by all of the particles, water vapor, it becomes redder. So brighter equals yellower, and then eventually white, darker equals red. And the intermediate result is obviously orange. Or peach. You know, this would be more peach, but to me peach is just light orange. I refer to everything in shades of red, yellow, blue. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So now you see I'm doing a lot of brush. So that's a big time consuming thing. You know, if I do a lot of brush, I got off track. But what I should really do is use the roller. But the thing is, I already got the roller all dirty with this color. So I'm pretty much just going to use the roller with this and then use this to lighten. Use the brush to, whoa, to add the smudge. I almost fell there. Use Okay, I'm going to call it a night. That's what I've got so far. Right there, so I don't really like how the clouds are so systematically horizontal and parallel with each other, so I'll kind of stagger those. But like I said, this is all just first coat and very loose technique. You can see I got a bunch of splatters on the wall where the white dripped down. It's just to get it laid out and get something to look at. It's easier for me to improve stuff than to just make it from scratch. So I rely a little bit on chance. You know, I just find some basic guidelines and go with it and put some color on the wall. And no, I mean, it's not chance. I mean, I don't know, some of it's chance. I guess you could say it's chance to a degree and a lot of technique. Whatever. All right, I'm going home.